I was like, what in the racism? Well, hello all my book babes. It is Courtney, also known as Touchable Reads and Deeds for Garbaugust. I'm here for week 2 wrap up. Okay, so week 2 is Vintage Smut or Paperbacks from Hell. So I went with Paperbacks from Hell, and I actually managed to secure this bad boy from the library. This is a nice thick book that talks about vintage horror from with the 70s and 80s. Now, my goal when I got this book was to find a Black author, and that was definitely very hard. Based on what I've been able to see, I found one in this whole book. Now, the one book is called The Black Exorcist, which I was not able to find at the library, so that did not pan out very well. But I thought it was interesting in this book that it talks about how during this time period there was basically racism. Okay, so there's not a whole lot of great representation when it comes to Black people and other minorities in horror films and in books at this time period. And the Black Exorcist is basically capitalizing on Black exploitation, which I can't say I'm a big fan of, but you know, it allowed Black people to start working, so I'm good with that for the time period. But the Black Exorcist basically says voodoo rituals, human sacrifices spawned by a cult of Black devil worshippers grips a town in a nightmare of terror. Okay, anyway, enough of that. But big book if you want to check out some other paperbacks. I decided to read was a Rosemary's Baby. So you have Guy and Rosemary, who's this young couple that moved to this old vintage gothic apartment complex that their friend warns them against moving into. And they meet a lot of the neighbors and they're happy. And while there, Guy's an actor. He gets his big break and starts getting busy with Hollywood. And then Rosemary gets pregnant and she feels like maybe something is not right with the pregnancy. Her doctor's just kind of odd and is recommending some very odd things, and you find that there is maybe some cult development going on around there, and it centers around her baby. But this book I've heard a lot about in life. I've heard a lot about the movie. I can't remember if I've seen the movie. If I did, it was so long ago. However, I don't think this book holds up over time because there was repeated use of the word Negro that did not sit well with me at all. I was like, what in the racism? You had Rosemary's husband and a lot of the other characters were very, very sexist. Like her husband goes, hey, okay, I've been centering on my career and I wasn't thinking about yours. So let's have a baby, basically, so you can be a housewife and do your job. So definitely some sexism going on there. There was also this issue of lack of consent that was in this book. So anyway, overall, the plot of the book was good. I did not like the execution. I feel like stuff really didn't happen towards the end. And I felt there was absolutely no emotion. Like the writing was simple. He said, she said, he said, she said, and that was that. So, but I did like the whole aspect of like the doctor and the weird practices that he was, you know, asking her to do. As far as with the whole horror type thing, it definitely fits into that. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend reading. That's just me. Now, I decided to give Paperbacks from Hell another shot just to kind of see if I like another book from that big old book. And I picked up The House Next Door. Told him first person point of view by a lady named Colquest. So her and her husband stay next door to this house that is being built from the ground up. And you have all of these strange things that start happening at this house. Like you have animals that start getting killed. deaths, you have scandal, just really interesting things to all happen in one property in such a short amount of time. I think it was like maybe a year. So anyway, they start to think that this house has some sort of haunting attached to it, and you follow them communicating with the people moving in and out of the house and trying to warn others about it. Now, I thought that this book did a really great job of showcasing how a lot of Southern people are, how they smile on your face and are so nice and are very PC, but then kind of talk behind your back and spread the business. So this book did a very good job of that. I can almost feel myself being in this community, hearing these people talk like this and hear all of these Southern drawls. So I really did enjoy that. That said, a lot of two-faced judgmentalness, and there was also some racism expressed in the book, so I didn't like that. Basically, you had a bunch of middle to upper class people that thought of themselves as humble, but pretty much were very snooty. I thought that the book did a whole lot of foreshadowing, which helped to build the suspense of the book, but I wouldn't have mind if it's decreased on that foreshadowing, so I didn't know what was to come because I kept anticipating, oh, well, they just said this. Okay, let me look for it. So you had racism, you had sexism, you had a bit of elitism as well, but I did think that the book was funny. I did enjoy a lot of those parts. I did think that there was a whole lot of drinking going on in this book, so much so that I'm thinking people probably had a problem, but I do like how they came together as a community to have drinks at the end of the day, and I thought that was really cool. Minus, you know, the haunted house. So this book definitely had a good vibe for me. I enjoyed that. I do think that the middle kind of dragged a bit, so that was a bit annoying with me on that aspect. But I did enjoy this book, and the ending was a shocker, and I enjoyed that as well. So, I would recommend reading this book. It's kind of gothic, slow, suspenseful, but worth a read. And that is it for me for Paperbacks from Hell. So that's week 2 of Garbaugust with touchable reads and deeds. And I hope to see you next week. So please like, subscribe, and comment. And let me know what trash you read this week. Bye, y'all.